Disney has the ability to create some of the cutest characters that have ever existed. And when these characters are brought to life in the form of animatronics, they result in some of the cutest animatronics that have ever existed. Hey Duck Squad, I'm Walt, and today I'm going to be telling you about some of Disney's cutest animatronics. And what's cuter than a duck? Nothing. So we're going to be starting with one of the cutest ducks in the world, Daisy Duck.
Burst into a world where mouse rules apply.
Goofy, pay attention! Oh, there they go!
Now open at Walt Disney World Resort.
On May 1st, 1989, Disney opened MGM Studios. This new park had a tram tour that would take guests past 4 working sound stages, an animation building, backlot sets, post-production facilities, and a new ambitious ride. The Great Movie Ride was originally planned as a new pavilion for Epcot called Great Moments at the Movies. But instead of doing this, Michael Eisner decided to make it a full theme park that would have this ride as its main attraction. This dark ride took guests through many scenes of iconic Hollywood movies where they could become part of musicals like Mary Poppins, gangster films like Public Enemy, westerns like A Fistful of Dollars, sci-fi adventure and drama films like Alien, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Casablanca, and fantasy films like Fantasia and The Wizard of Oz. This ride had the first A100 animatronic in Disney parks and was loved by guests everywhere. But of course, times changed and the park needed a new renovation, and one of the things that got renovated was the Great Movie Ride. On July 15th, 2017, Disney announced at D23 that the attraction would close to be replaced by Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway.
We are thrilled to announce that we are creating our first ever ride-through attraction built entirely around Mickey Mouse.
This new attraction was described as a zany, out-of-control adventure with unpredictable twists and turns, dazzling visual effects, and mind-blowing transformations that would happen during the scenes. Less than a month after the announcement, the Great Movie Ride closed forever, and work began immediately on the new attraction. Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway finally opened on March 4th, 2020. This new attraction takes guests inside a Mickey and Minnie cartoon and is the first Disney ride-through attraction entirely based around Mickey and Minnie. The ride had lots of cute characters, of course. We can see the Fab Five plus other members of the gang. And many of these characters appear as animatronics. All through the ride, we see Mickey and Minnie as cute animatronics, sometimes joined by Pluto too. But the cutest of all animatronics that we can find in this ride is Daisy. During the ride, the trackless cars take guests into a dance studio where they can meet Daisy. Daisy begins her class by asking the trackless cars to get in position and then counting the steps so they can learn how to waltz. After a while, the cars stop waltzing and Daisy announces a congo, and the cars congo out the studio. This is arguably the best animatronic in this ride. She is small and very cute and has limited but realistic moves. We can't help but wish that there were more animatronics like these in the ride. Luxo Jr., Hollywood Studios in California Adventure. We can't think of Pixar without thinking of Luxo Jr., and that is because Luxo is not only Pixar's mascot, but it also put Pixar on the map as a pioneer of 3D animation.
Pixar is a leader in the creation of tools that allow people to understand data through the technology of visualization.
Back in 1986, John Lasseter created Luxo Jr., drawing inspiration from a Luxo lamp on his drawing table. He did this to create a graphic rendering model and experiment with it, using it for motion studies where he used the main principles of animation as well as simulations of light and shadows. At first, Luxo Jr. was just used for this, but then Belgian animator Raoul Servais convinced Lasseter to create a whole plot and story for the character. So, the short Luxo Jr. was created and presented at SIGGRAPH, an annual computer technology exhibition attended by thousands of industry professionals. The film received critical acclaim for its photorealistic style and emotional impact, and Pixar, as well as Luxo Jr., became legends. Now, Pixar and Disney have had a long history, since the creation of Toy Story back in 1995 to Disney buying the company in 2006, so it was natural that Disney wanted to have Luxo Jr. at the parks. So in 2009, and as part of the Living Characters initiative, which you can know more about if you click here, Disney brought Luxo Jr. to life as an animatronic. This animatronic could be found near Toy Story Mania at Disney's Hollywood Studios. This cute new animatronic was part of a mini show that took place every 15 minutes, where Luxo Jr. would come out, interact with guests, and dance to many Pixar songs. That same year, Disney started creating and selling Luxo Jr. merchandise. But this resulted in a lawsuit by Luxo ASA, the Norwegian company that manufactures Luxo lamps, who claimed that Disney violated its trademarks by selling promotional lamps branded as the Luxo Jr. character. Disney reached a settlement with Luxo ASA and agreed not to sell Luxo Jr. lamps, while Luxo ASA did not object to artist renditions of the lamp and allowed Pixar to keep using Luxo Jr. as a character. And curiously, after this settlement, the Luxo Jr. animatronic was retired from Hollywood Studios. Many people say that this was part of the deal, while others say it was because of technical difficulties. Whatever the case, the animatronic was removed. Luckily, Luxo Jr. did come back to the parks. Nowadays, he can be found at the entrance of Pixar Pier. This new animatronic is not as complex as the one that appeared at Hollywood Studios, but it is really cute. Mickey Mouse Review. We've talked a lot about this attraction, but it's one of our favorite retired attractions and one that we would love to see come back. Back when Walt Disney started thinking of ways to use animatronics for attractions in the parks, he came up with the idea of an attraction that would be a theater where Disney characters would put on a show and even sit in the boxes with guests. Sadly, he never saw this become a reality, but his dream came true when Walt Disney World opened in 1971. Mickey Mouse Revue was one of the Magic Kingdom's opening day attractions. In this attraction, many Disney characters sang, danced, and put on a fantastic show inside a theater. The show had 73 different characters and 81 animatronics, because some characters appeared more than once during the show. The show was full of cute animatronics everywhere, but the cutest animatronic in this show was without a doubt Mickey Mouse. And not only was he the cutest, but it was the only Mickey Mouse animatronic that existed in any Disney attraction until now. This show started with an 8-minute movie that showed Mickey's career through the years and the use of sound in his cartoons and films. Next, guests entered the theater where the show would take place. The show started when Mickey appeared on a pedestal that rose from the floor. An orchestra of 23 characters followed. We could find characters like Minnie, Goofy, Daisy, and Pluto, many more from older Disney movies like Dumbo, Timothy Mouse, The Mad Hatter, The March Hare, Gus Gus, and Jack, and some from the recent film at the time like Baloo, Kaa, King Louie, Winnie, Piglet, and Rabbit. The orchestra played a melody of familiar Disney songs like Hi-Ho, Whistle While You Work, and When You Wish Upon a Star. After the orchestra number, many of the Disney classic characters appeared in their own scenes, singing and dancing to their signature song. There were the Three Little Pigs, Snow White with the forest animals and the Seven Dwarfs, Alice surrounded by the flowers singing All in the Golden Afternoon, the Three Caballeros, which we talked about in our Cutest Animatronics Part 2 video, and the Fairy Godmother in Cinderella. After this last scene, Brer Fox, Brer Bear, and Brer Rabbit appeared singing their theme song, and soon after the whole cast appeared and sang together. When they finished, the entire stage went dark except for Mickey. The Mickey Mouse alma mater started playing, and then Mickey announced the show was over. This show was amazing and lasted over 9 minutes, but as time passed, fewer and fewer people were visiting it. Then, in September of 1980, the attraction closed. But it was not the end of it. The attraction was shipped overseas and installed in a new Tokyo Disneyland park in 1983. Here, the attraction was opened for another 26 years until it sadly closed on May 25, 2006, to be replaced by Mickey's Philharmonic. Some animatronics were put away, others were recycled for other attractions, and we can happily report that Mickey's animatronic is safe and sound in the Walt Disney Archives. It was even on display in the 2011 D23 Expo Treasures of Walt Disney's Archives. Hopefully, one day Disney will bring back this attraction, but it is unlikely that this will happen. BB8 Rise of the Resistance. When Star Wars The Force Awakens dropped for the first time, it was a worldwide phenomenon. The whole world was excited to see what happened next in one of the most famous sagas of all time. And one of the things that people were most excited about was the new characters. These new characters included a new super cute droid that, even though only appeared a total of 3 seconds in the trailer, made everyone fall in love. People were excited to see more of this droid, and what made everyone more anxious to see it was that it was announced that BB8 would not be a CGI character. One of J.J. Abrams' top priority when he started working on Star Wars was to go back to original sets and practical effects, and BB8 would be no exception. So, he joined forces with Neil Scanlon to create animatronics that would appear in The Force Awakens. Creating BB8 was a challenge. J.J. Abrams had created the concept of this droid on a napkin, and he wanted this design to work. So a special animatronic that moves on something of a pivot was created. This animatronic has an axle through the middle and rocks from side to side, meaning he has to turn to roll in a new direction rather than just shift his momentum. The puppet version of the droid has a two-handed brace for control, one for the motion of the lower body, and one for the orientation of the free-floating head. On some other occasions, other robotic BB-8s were used, but rarely the one with completely autonomous movement. When BB-8 was moving at higher speed, the animatronic was guided by an attached motor unit that controlled its direction, which was digitally removed from shots in post-production. In total, 7 different BB-8s were used in the filming of The Force Awakens, each one varying levels of puppeteer control. But the most impressive BB-8 animatronic was the one that was created for the red carpet premiere of The Force Awakens. This animatronic was a fully functioning, free-rolling robot that did the press tour without human assistance. For this to work, the team used tech similar to what the Sparrow robots used. This animatronic uses a gyroscope to determine which way is down and 2 wheels to move the spear from inside. When Rise of the Resistance opened at both Hollywood Studios and Disneyland, we were all happy to see that Imagineers had added not 1, but 2 BB-8 animatronics to the ride. First, in the Q pre-show, guests find a super cute BB-8 who is waiting for a transmission from Rey, who then travels and explains that a group of resistant agents, including Finn, have boarded a Star Destroyer that is en route to the Batuu system. Believing the base to be no longer safe, Rey explains that guests will be boarding transports to rendezvous with Leia Organa and Bakara. Next, guests go out in order to board this transport, and BB-8 appears again, this time on Poe X-Wing. BB-8 is, without a doubt, the cutest droid in the galaxy. Figment, Imagination Pavilion. So, as we said before, Epcot was a great opportunity for Disney to create new characters and rides that didn't rely on previously created Disney characters. So, while creating the park, Imagineers needed these new characters for the park's new pavilion. One of these pavilions was the Imagination Pavilion. The Imagination Pavilion's signature ride was Journey into Imagination, and the ride had 2 main characters. These characters were the musical Dreamfinder, a kindly, dreamy inventor that created Figment, a cute purple dragon from sparks and ideas he collected with his flying machine. Journey into Imagination was beautiful. It followed Dreamfinder and Figment through a musical adventure of arts, literature, entertainment, and music. One Little Spark, the famous Sherman Brothers song, could be heard throughout the ride, and it talked about how just a little bit of inspiration could create an entire world of imagination. In the ride, we could see animatronics of the Dreamfinder and, of course, Figment. Figment was portrayed originally as a young and curious student of the imagination to Dreamfinder. He appeared several times as an animatronic, and each time he was such a cute character. The ride and characters were beloved by Epcot guests all over. But then, Disney decided to re-theme the dark ride to match the film in the Pavilion's 3D theater, Honey, I Shrunk the Audience. The ride was renamed Journey into Your Imagination. Its track was literally cut in half, reducing the ride time from 12 minutes to 6 minutes. Figment's animatronics disappeared, and he made a single cameo, hidden in a constellation on the ceiling, and the Dreamfinder was completely gone. This ride was awful. It became a cold and quirky tour of the Imagination Institute's Sense Labs, and it failed to inspire or excite anyone. This version of the ride received so much criticism from the public that it only survived 2 years before it was replaced. The ride reopened as Journey into Imagination with Figment, and while the Dreamfinder was still nowhere to be found, we thankfully had Figment back, with a more significant role appearing in every single show scene. This new ride takes guests through Dr. Channing's sensory labs, where we can learn about the 5 senses: sound, sight, smell, touch, and taste. The famous theme tune of the original ride, One Little Spark, is also back. In this ride, Figment is well aware of what imagination is, and is mostly a prankster pulling pranks on Dr. Nigel Channing until he is willing to listen to him and his lesson that imagination works best when set free. Figment has always been such a cute character in everything he has appeared in. He had his own series within the Epcot educational media line titled Language Arts Through Imagination, where he would invite children to his playhouse in an imaginary realm called Fignonia, exploring different reading and writing concepts.
I'm Figment. I'm a dragon. Oh, golly double G. Just use the magic in your mind. I'm Figment. That's me.
Concepts. He has also appeared in comics and as an Easter egg in movies and at parks. Journey into Imagination with Figment might not be as incredible as Journey into Imagination was, but we're so happy to see Figment come back as an animatronic, and we hope that this character will remain a big part of Imagination Pavilion at Epcot for years and years to come. So tell us, what do you think is the cutest of all? We think Figment might be the one, and we just can't wait to see him again. And to do so, you can start planning your next vacation. Our friends at pixievacations.com will help you plan your perfect vacation to Disneyland, Disney World, or a Disney cruise, specifically tailored to your vacation style and budget. And working with a Pixie is completely free. So, talk with them to make the best out of your Disney vacation. See you next time.